Okay, let's see. Performance and stability. Game performance and stability have been hot topics in the community recently. By recently, it means for a few years. So we wanted to give an update about our understanding of the current status of several of the important issues and to reassure you that we are working on them. For many of the issues we haven't yet identified their causes, well, that's a rip, and we'll update with more information as soon as we have. We felt it was important to post this before the weekend so that you know that the concern has been heard. Way before the weekend, and not like one week ago. Recently means in the past 4 seconds. That's a very good point. Okay. Blighted map instance server performance. When we talk about instance server performance, we're referring to a performance of the game server software that is running on in one of our server machines. Normally we can fit dozens of instances per CPU core, and they take a fraction of a millisecond to process your actions for the frame. Under extreme gameplay circumstances, though, the instance server can slow down due to their calculations taking a full CPU core more than 33 milliseconds, which is the server size frame time. In Blight, there are a lot of monsters, they have a lot of life. What normally happens when you engage a pack of monsters is that your attacks quickly call out the weak ones, leaving just a few strong targets. In Blight Tower, the weak ones last for much longer. As you know, Battle of Exile has a very complicated stat system with tens of thousands of different values that your character can have. I feel like most people don't realize that, or like don't think about that. Many of these are used in combat calculations, and dozens of small buffs, debuffs, and ailments are applied to monsters as you attack them. The more monsters there are, and the longer they survive your attacks for, the longer these calculations take. Blight combat is an order of magnitude more strenuous on our servers than a regular map content. I have never heard it, like, seen this word before. So basically what they're telling us is just one-shot them, you know? Easy. Fixed. Once we knew that we had server-side performance issues with blind maps, we wanted to check whether we could improve this issue by adding more servers. We observed that on physical game servers with a different number of game instances, the number of drop frames per instance was not higher or on more heavily loaded servers. This showed that the problem is related to specific instance utilizing an entire CPU core for more than 33 milliseconds rather than the server itself having too many instances of it. Throwing more money at all servers at the problem would not solve it. Need a better servers. Forehead. We are working on this problem and trying to find a solution that will reduce the calculation complexity without compromising gameplay. You'll know that's not gonna happen. Minion performance. We believe that the popularity of Minion builds with 3.8 have caused a lot of performance problems that players are encountering. I mean, yeah. Even more shit that need to be calculated. Minions are monsters, so all of the problems mentioned above apply to them. They tend to last a long time, and there are a lot of them on the screen, all of which are getting all the various buffs and graphical effects that would normally apply to players. Alongside the release of Legion, we made many changes to how melee combat works in PoE. Our changes intended to tighten up attack distances and to get stuff to feel right, had the side effect of slowing down pathfinding and causing a few other small performance regressions. We didn't notice at the time how much extra cost is added to minions. Oh, rip. Yeah. We're fucked, boys. We are so fucked. With the 3.8 release making Minion builds very popular, all of these performance problems have become a large issue for anyone playing Minions or in a party with Minions. I haven't had too many issues in normal gameplay, but the moment we did a 4-man, 4-way. Wait, was it 5-man? It was either 4 or 5-man, 4-way Legion Stone, and it was fucked. these issues are a high priority for us. I mean, obviously, people stop playing your game, you stop making money, so it's definitely has to be a big priority. Graphics driver crashes while playing certain content. For PTL missions, some users experience a graphics driver crash where the screen goes black for a while and then comes back with a POE map error. Recent version of the NVIDIA driver, including the most recent, have these issues. We can't reproduce the problem on an older version. We don't yet know what POE is doing to cause crash, but the graphics driver should never crash regardless of the game. Yep. We have contacted NVIDIA to bring it to their attention. I just installed the 490, no crashes before. I mean, that's good to hear. That's good to hear, though. A few AMD users have reported similar problems, but we haven't been able to reproduce this, and it doesn't appear to be on the same scale. Interesting. Yeah, I've been very lucky this lake. I haven't had too many issues. Instance crashes. Instance crashes are when the game instance server crashes while you're playing. Yeah. Disconnecting you back to the login screen. Since Blight's release, we have deployed many hotfixes that address various instance crashes, and the number of crashes is dropping by the day. Third guy fixing everything. Today we have deployed a hotfix that resolves more than half of the remaining instance crashes. We're still working on the remaining ones, focusing attention on the most frequent first. What does this do? ROAS. Wait, another case. I wonder if there's yet another case that makes the market. Deathmark, Taunt, Incubator stuff. Okay. Alright. Client memory usage. We have noticed unusually high memory usage likely due to loading too many game assets. We believe this may be causing performance issues and we are investigating. I would really like that we could really change how much, like adjust how much shit gets rendered. Like all the fucking graphics and like from like the projectiles and whatnot. But it wouldn't feel, it would take away the feel. By the way, the 4-way was pretty much lag free for you. Oh, really? And I assume you're playing in lockstep too, right? I can definitely see if you're playing on non-lockstep. Predictive that it would be fine. But you were just like teasing. But it was pretty bad for me for the most part. Engine versus gameplay performance. Recently there have been a lot of community posts criticizing Path of Exile's engine for being slow or not optimized enough. We have spent several years improving the engine and have deployed these updates as soon as they have become ready. POE's engine is currently modern, lean, and fast, but yet in many situations the game does not perform at all. I mean, I don't think you can make an engine that handles all of the shit that they have. Almost all of the performance problems the Backlog suffers from are related to gameplay systems and decisions we have made there. For the reasons described above, Blight is a league with performance problems. We made conscious decision to try this type of league, and it's entirely appropriate to blame us and this decision for the poor performance that you may encounter while playing this content. We weren't expecting it to be this bad, and we're working on fixing it. It's pretty interesting that they're basically saying we knew it's gonna be bad. It's an interesting way of wording it. I mean, this is a PR post, right? I mean, it's not the first time they're we knew this would be laggy. We just expect you guys to have at least 5 FPS. No matter what engine we are using, POE would be slow in its current state due to the gameplay decisions we have made. Calculating too many things on the server and rendering too many things on the client. Yep, the game is too complicated. That's in a nutshell. There's too many things. It may seem arbitrary and defensive for us to point out the difference between the engine and the gameplay systems, but the reason is that the engine is going to be Path of Exile. It may seem arbitrary defensive for us to point out the difference between engine and gameplay systems, but the reason is that the engine is going to be part of the POE forever, but the gameplay code comes and goes as things are added and removed. We don't want leaks to have performance issues, and this informs the decisions we make about future content development. Console performance. Many of the above problems are much worse on console platforms due to their hardware limitations. Like, I'm like legit. When I mentioned console performance, well, you know, on a POE set, my PlayStation 4 just fucking died. So it's like, for example, instances where the game instance server would be overloaded by a blighted map, the console's comparatively slower CPU. Comparatively, the CPU is pretty bad. It was also overloaded doing the client version of the calculation. We will update you as soon as we have progress on this font. The console performance will be absolute shit. You need to edit this is fine background this video. Yo, dude, is that what you're doing? You're just gonna have the whole thing. Oh god. We are sorry that this post doesn't contain more definitive steps about exactly how and when we will solve these issues, but we wanted to communicate the status of these issues before the weekend. I really want to know what's like the weekend reason. I guess because they had the patch that was supposed to like fix the performance, and it didn't. And then we have this because of that. We are treating them as high priorities and are hoping to find and deliver solutions to many of them next. You know why it's really hard to believe that's gonna be the case is because they're in synthesis. They said that like they just don't have time to do shit because they're working on the next expansion and the next expansion, and then they have the 4.0, right? So it's just like. Like, they're probably just gonna give us flashback and some. Oh my god, flashback with this leak would actually be so bad. Like, people want flashback, but the moment they would slap flashback on top of this, the fucking world would just burn, I think. Because flashback had so many, like, flashbacks in the past have been so laggy. It's just not reasonable to take the financial hit to fix the performance. I mean, eventually, the hit is gonna come from the player base just leaving. So you have to keep the player base happy as well. Like, it's like, if every single leak they do, they just add more and more people unhappy, then eventually it's, I mean, I'm assuming they don't want that, right? So at some point they need to try to fix stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful. They have like they have surprised us in the past. I mean, the one thing that they really never have done perfectly or well is the performance. I feel like I feel like people might say that the game ran better before, like, you know, good old times, but it really didn't. It's always been a thing. I mean, there's hoping. Like, I'm hopeful. This game, being able to play this game for like what, soon 7 years, and I'm still here. I mean, it's definitely not. I don't think it's the worst it's been. I think in some leagues it's been even worse. But yeah, hope they get the stuff done, and I hope that they'll scale down the stuff and allow us to eventually, at some point, to start reducing the clutter and whatever the shit we have on our screen to make it better. But at the same time, that doesn't help because the server side issue is still there, right? So even if it would make it, feel like it's better, the server is still dying on the background. So yeah, I don't want to even go look at the Reddit thread. The Reddit thread is probably, it's a place I don't want to go right now. But either way, we'll see you soon, I guess.